it going, guys? Standard midnight sesh going on at the moment. Friday night after work, you know, everyone else is asleep in the house. It's Tom's time to shine. It's about the only time I get to play around in the garage these days. So what we are doing is we have got the Porsche rear bumper all mounted out and screwed into place. What we're going to do now is we're just going to de-wrap it, because that purple is a vinyl wrap from back in the day when I first got the car done. And then after which we are going to look at bonding the two pieces together, so the Porsche bumper onto the Peugeot 106 substrate, and then from there we can start. I think we're going to take the arch, sort of inner arch pieces from the original bumper that got messed up, as you saw in the previous video, and then we're actually going to bond those onto the edges to give us kind of a nice crisp edge, because those work pretty well, to be honest, and it kind of saves us the job of having to build it up ourselves, so we can just get that, cut it, shape it, bond it on, job done. And then also in the meantime we're going to be starting to get going on the Kingdom bumper for the Saxo. So it's all bonded together, as you saw also on the last episode. Now we're going to start trimming the edges, and then we're going to start filling over the top of all the bits and getting it all nice and smooth. So going to crack on and get this de-wrapped. Right guys, so we've skipped ahead a little bit, so I'm just going to talk you through what I've been up to. Right, so where we left off is we were looking at bonding the bumper substrates together. So that is now done. These two bits are fixed together. So we've bonded them with adhesive, and then what we've also done is start to bridge the gap that we kind of had going on through the centre section of this, running all the way along. So all we used is just some expanding foam for this point. It's construction foam, so it acts as an adhesive and a bonding agent as well. So and because it's lightweight, because it's foam, it's well, anyway, it might be incorrect, but this is the way that I'm going to do it, because I think it's going to work as I need it to. So yeah, so basically we've trimmed off some of the excess going across the top, and then what we're doing at the moment is we're working from left, as you can see, going all the way around, basically trimming off the sharp edge that we trimmed this bumper with originally. So what we're using is just a blade to effectively taper off the sharp edge to kind of chamfer it back in on itself, because then what we do is then when we fill back over the top with body filler, it will kind of give a platform for it to mate. So if you think you've kind of got this surface going on the end of the bumper, and then you're trying to bond from over the top, if you had a flat edge to flat edge, never going to be great, whereas if you can smooth it into the tapered edge, much better. So we're just working our way all the way across this now, and then what we're going to do is start to remove some of the fixings that we add in here, just literally to hold everything together, and then fingers crossed nothing kind of shifts around. And then what we'll do is we'll remount this, I think, back on the car, so that we can see it when it's on there. We'll tape up all of the bits that we don't want to potentially get any body filler and stuff on, and then we are going to start the task of re-glassing and refilling these two bits together to make it into one, as well as adding some strength in and trimming the back area around here to get it to fit properly, and to create a nice seamless edge. So I'm going to crack on with that now. Right, so now we've got all the screws out of it, turned it upside down, and we're just going to fill in some of the gaps. So basically what you're seeing here is the inner substrate and sort of the top section of the original 106 bumper. so that it can mount back to the OEM mounting points on here. And then you can see the black piece is what is now our Porsche Cayman bumper. So we've bonded the two bits together. Now we're literally just going to pack out the gap that's in between the two, just to kind of make it as solid as possible. And then as soon as that's on, we can whip it back on the car. We can start to do some trimming on the edges. I think what we're going to do about the shut off lines kind of going down the side here for the inner arches, we kept hold of the bits of the original bumper. So these are kind of the edge pieces, and granted they look a bit messy, but what we can see here is we can kind of, I think, salvage this edge running all the way up. So as you can see, I think I'm going to probably cut it along that line there as it goes all the way down to this bottom section. Should be fairly straightforward. As you can see, that part is actually a different bumper anyway, as you can see there. There's actually two different bits bonded together. I mean, this thing was a right old mess, to be honest, as soon as all the bits started coming apart. So yeah, good thing to change up. And from a weight point of view, we're going to save some weight on this new bumper anyway, hopefully by the end of it, fingers crossed. So yeah, so we're just going to wait for this to expand. It's already kind of doing its thing and started to seep out the edges. Then we'll trim off all of the edges so that it kind of looks nice. And then what we'll probably do is, just to finish it, we'll glass over the top from this point as well, just to kind of give it a bit of substance to kind of hold everything together. And then flip it over, mount it on the car, start glassing and doing all the rest of it as well. So catch you guys when that is at that point. And then a little update on the Kingdom bumper. So sort of previous episodes all bonded together, then we've basically started to fill in some of the holes and stuff, as you can see here. Holes no longer there, and some of these edges which were all cracked, we've started to fill in as well. As you can see here, started to sand across. But if we come over here, this is the area where it's going to be quite a lot of work. So basically what I was saying is, we've built out all this area. So currently it would kind of usually sit across here, but we've built it out on purpose so that we can kind of cut it back, because all of this was so smashed up and loads of bits missing that otherwise it's going to be really difficult to shape it, and you'd have to build on. Whereas if we just slap loads of it on, then we trim it to size and then sand it afterwards, then to me it makes it seem a lot easier to get it sorted. So yeah, so gradually working through this, it's always going to get worse before it gets better, so don't worry, trust the process. This is what sort of we're expecting at this stage, before this can be smoothed off and then ready to go back into primer. Right, and then a little update on the 106 of something we've designed in the background. A bit of an aesthetic mod really than anything, but over here, so some of you that have 106s will know that these little dash inserts, you can sometimes get them like Quicksilver or like whatever it was, Independence, and I don't know, the lemon version, whatever they do, the Zesty. They have like different inserts to dictate kind of what model they are. GTI also has one as well. Now we had one that just had the generic Peugeot across it, which they did on the XS models. So we whipped this out to paint it, and we thought, well, actually let's just do something a bit crazy. So what we've done is we've actually fully developed our own version. So just zooming in there, so this is the now Max Power Edition 106. So these are actually available on my shop, which is tmt-works.co.uk. We've got this design. We've also got like Rally, old and new style. We've got Peugeot Sport, new style and old style, and so there's a few styles that are on there. So if you guys with 106s are interested, it'll also be in the description of this video. Go over there, grab yourself one. They'll turn up either in this black colour, really nice quality, fit perfectly in the surround, and will transform your car to something that's a little bit more unique and custom. We also do custom versions of these as well, so do get in touch if you want something that's completely bespoke. Obviously the price of that increases slightly, but it does depend on the type of artwork and thing that you want, because obviously it depends on the amount of time that we've got to spend designing it for you. So yeah, little update for that. Right guys, and there we go. So bumper is fully mounted on, as you can see, all back in with the OEM clips and stuff. That's all being repaired. So yeah, not looking too bad. Obviously it's just bonded together at the moment, so we've got loads of work to do filling these gaps. But as you can see, we've just glued it and then we've trimmed off the top, as I was talking about a second ago. Then what we've done is we kept some of the bits of the old bumper. They've just been stacked up over there, because what we really wanted, because obviously we're having to trim sort of a fair bit of this back at the moment. This is literally just trimmed to allow the wheel to move and stuff, and not the actual final form. So what we were planning to do with these bits here is effectively try and reuse them, because they've got this kind of return flange. Yes, they're a bit cracked, and yes, they're a bit messed up, that we'll have to try and sort out. But for what we need them for, they'll probably help us. So if you can imagine what this used to be like, this was like that, so obviously it came out back quite far. What I think we're going to try and do is line it up so it kind of does that more instead. So it means that we're going to have to trim this top because the angle's incorrect, because if it was going there, it's obviously going really quite far back. But what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of play around with where this could be positioned, and then effectively we'll have to try and sort of start to trim back some of this thickness, because obviously, as we sort of previously said, it was made up of quite a few different bumpers, all bonded together, which is kind of similar to what we're doing with this, but we're going to do it with less filler, so less weight, and make it look better in general. So probably going to use these pieces. We've got another one here for the other side as well, and then as soon as we're kind of happy with where they're positioned, we'll bond those into place, and then we'll just start to glass over and smooth everything off. Hi guys, right, so we've skipped forward a little bit, I would say, based on the previous clip, but we have the rear bumper, as you can see, back on the 106. So that was after just showed you that we were bonding the two pieces together, ready to start filling and shaping the parts to look seamless. What we did do yesterday, but the camera ran out of battery, so I'll just run over it, is go and pick up some fiberglass filler. This is actually the first time I've used fiberglass filler. I previously always just glassed over the top and then body filler, but decided this time that I'd give it a go. It seems to have gone really well actually, so I'll just show you what I've got. So this is just the stuff that was on offer at Halford's, just to pick it up because it's just off the shelf. So yeah, this fiberglass filler. Basically, I believe it's just body filler, just with strands of fiberglass in it as well, so to kind of give it a bit more sort of structural strength, less likely to crack and all those sort of good things. And then we've just got standard easy filler to basically just fill over the end, and because the surface finish of the fibril stuff, I believe, isn't great from point of view of it goes sort of ripply, and you sort of get high and low spots because of the glass fibre that's in it, and then you basically body filler over the top to sort of hide or fill in those imperfections. So we made a start last night. As I said, I didn't actually film it because the camera ran out of battery, but I think you'll agree that this is starting to look good already. Now obviously we've just done one coat of this stuff. We need to basically sand it back, and then we either apply another coat of this over the top, because even though it's pretty good shape wise across it, there's a couple of spots through there where you can just see where it dips, and we basically want to have it so it's just a nice rounded face, and then with the filler and stuff, we're going to redo all this top stuff where they put a plate on and filled it all the way to the back, because usually this would kind of come along here and just creates a big ugly gap for a car where the boot is going to be open eventually when all the back's kitted up. So yeah, so these two bits are definitely fully bonded together now, not coming off, not easily anyway. So yeah, so we're just going to crack on and basically just go around and start sanding it back and then refilling over the top of it, and then before long these two bits are going to start to look a little bit more seamless. Edges are something that we still need to do, so as I showed you just over the back there, we've got the previous edges for the side of the kit that was on here, the rear bumper. We're basically going to trim sort of that flange off of those pieces, measure it up to this, position it as we want to, and then basically just trim, lop all of this back. We'll fix the two pieces together, much like we did with the bumper onto this in the first place, with just some brackets and wood screws. Same thing that we did with the Kingdom bumper to get that all one piece again. And then as soon as we've done that, we'll bond the two pieces together, and then we'll do the same process as what we're doing across the back here. Fill over the top, strengthen it with more fiberglass and this glass fiber body filler, and then smooth over the top, and then the whole thing, once it's all lovely and smooth, we can primer it, and then it'll be ready to send off and get wrapped again, which will be cool, because then this car goes back to being sort of complete, which will be nice, bar getting the exhaust pipe finished, and then a couple of little bits like indicators and stuff that we'll need to still work out what we're doing, whether we're going to leave them put them in the bumper again, or we're maybe going to repurpose one of these lights. So this one maybe becomes an indicator, and then the same on the other side, and then the brake lights and everything are just on the one in the middle, whereas at the moment this is a running sort of rear red light, and then this one is then the brake light. So yeah, we'll get around to that and we'll sort that out. Alright, so the next part of the process is we are getting our side profile sorted. So as you can see, we've made a cut down this side of the bumper. Put this piece in and we're just lining this up to kind of get it to where we want it to be. I believe we're kind of just going to want this to kind of sit in here like this, so it matches our section up here, which obviously, as you can see, there's a gap at the moment. So what it will mean is that we'll need to sort of cut this back to a point where we think it'll be necessary, and then we can then bridge the gap between the two sections, and then start to build all of that back in on each other. Then we'll do the same on the other side. So this one hasn't been done yet, but we'll need to do the same process. And then at the moment, as you can see, I'm just sanding back the join that we made between the Cayman bumper and the Peugeot rear bumper sections. So basically we're just taking out any of these high bits, like this bit here. If we zoom back in again. And then effectively what that does is it creates a nice surface which we can then apply filler over, and then becomes the long and annoying process of effectively fill, sand, until we get a lovely smooth surface all the way around, which we can then start to apply primer over, and then we can get the bumper back off and then sent over to wrapping masters. Lovely. Yep. To have this colour applied, and as you can see at the moment it is covered in dust, so we will need to clean this up at some point soon. Don't really want this dust sitting on the bodywork if we can help it for too long, and then yeah, then it can look more like this again, which will be great, and then we can get out and start driving it again, which will be great. So anyways, that's where we're up to on this. Right guys, and what we are doing now is we are reshaping this edge down here. We didn't quite like how it was bulging out ever so slightly, basically because we were flexing this bumper onto the rear. So what we've done, just to alleviate a bit of pressure and just to reshape it, is we've cut this section out, and then what we are going to do is we have bent it into more of a straight profile. We are going to then position this so that it sits nicely with the rest of the arch. And then we are going to fix it back in place, and then we can start to fill and shape over the top of it, and then we will cut and reform some of this section to get it to suit properly. So yeah, kind of coming together bit by bit. Right, so to update as well, so what we've done, as you saw, cut out the section and the side of the bumper, and then as you can see now, we're not sort of bulging out loads on the sides of the bumper. It's a little bit of work to do just to bring this edge in. Once this is dry, this is still a little bit loose, this bit, so we can tie it in a little bit more at the bottom, which should be good. But yeah, much better. So obviously it looks a little bit patchwork quilt at the moment, the section that we've just bonded in there. Just waiting for the glue gun to set, so it's set in place, and then what we can do is we can get the fiberglass filler to and some glass sheet, I think, as well, to basically support the inside face of this so that it's sort of structurally sound, and then we can then start to body filler over the top. Made a start sanding all of this section around here, so again this is ready for filler to go over the top of it, and yeah, and then we're going to be right on track with everything. Just been sorting out some of the electrics as well, so obviously because the whole custom rear end and lights and that situation and everything, we've now got an automotive terminal block situated on this side and also down here as well. So I'm just going through and sorting out all the cabling, because it was a little bit of a rat's nest when we were first driving the car around, and this brake light was slightly intermittent with one of the connectors that I'd done. So this is going to make it, fingers crossed, a bit more foolproof. We can label everything up properly so that it makes it really easy to diagnose if there's ever a problem with anything. We've also picked up more of the sequential arrow indicators, just in case we decide to put them back in the bumper. Still haven't fully decided yet, but yeah, so that's something to basically make a decision on at some point. Right guys, sorry for the slightly disjointed video. It's been yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy time for me recently, so not being able to give sort of these videos and the car actually really my full attention with everything going on. So it's just been a little bit all over the place. Hopefully now much better place, can move forward with this project and also the other projects that we've got as well, because pretty much every single car we own is a project, which just seems to be the case really with car guys in general. So we're going to leave it where we are at the moment with this rear bumper. Made some really good progress. So the bumper's all mounted. We've got two bits bonded together. We've reshaped the edges, as you just saw, at least started to. And then we started to sand back all of the fiberglass filler, so that the next stage is to support the back edges of the sides of the bumper that we've just kind of cut up and glued in place our additional pieces. Then as soon as those are kind of structurally sound, then we can kind of start to look at adding the filler onto the outside. So we'll first start with a little bit, probably a glass filler, fiberglass filler, to just build up and pack out a little bit, and then we'll go straight in with the body filler over the top of that, and then it's just going to be a case of body filler, sand, until we can say that it's fully smooth and 100% happy with where it's at. But that's just going to be a case of just keep going around. But the main thing at the moment is we've kind of got the shape loosely how we want it to be. The edges, which were the main cause for concern, are tied back in again, and so we've got our turn flanges for the inside of the arch, which is great. And then basically we can get it all sorted, get it all smooth, send it off, get it wrapped, and then this car is back on the road properly again. Be it that we need to decide what we do with those indicators, because I'm still not entirely sure whether we build them into the actual rear lights themselves, or we do what we did last time, which is to drill holes in the bumper and fit them in afterwards with that as well, because I did quite like that. But it was a hell of a lot of faff, so just one of those things to think about. So yeah, cheers everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of this content. As I say, going to be much more regular now, with little bits here and there coming your way.